portions are all covered. Okay, initial portions were all covered. So we are taking what is left. So the month of March and April, every Sunday, there were offline classes were happening for all the papers, including social psychology. So the initial chapters all were completed in those months.
Sir, 1 minute. Sorry. The thing is, for whoever have opted for learning center, they will only
Uh,
have in learning center, right?
okay.
Other centers will have the other study centers will have their classes in their study center.
Exactly. Yeah, I think like that. And so what I want to say is the people who are actually joined for the first time for all the subjects would suggest you to listen to the lectures, listen to the classes carefully. Obviously, you will be having a lot of doubts and confusions and everything since you are starting from the middle of the chapters. But don't worry, uh, listen to the lectures and read the materials. And also, when you are having free time, try to read the other chapters. And if you are having any doubt, we can have discussions on the classes. Like we have 1.5 hour class, so we can take 1 hour class and we can keep another half hour for discussions if you have anything doubt or anything. Because a big portion, like the main fundamental, the history, methodology, and all those things are already done. So we are actually now looking into the core theoretical aspects of social psychology. And I also want to introduce myself. I am Vishnu, and I am taking social psychology. I took social psychology last year, last batch, and this batch I am taking for offline and online. And myself, I'm a PhD scholar from University of Hyderabad. I think you may know. It's there in between Gachibowli and Lingamballi Road. So I'm a PhD scholar from that university, and so that I am not associated with Ambedkar University officially. I'm teaching there, so I won't be able to know the details about assignments, attendance, exams, and all those things. And also, I am a native of Kerala. I'm from Thiruvananthapuram, Kerala state. So I don't know Telugu, sorry.
Kerala, which place, sir?
I am from Thiruvananthapuram, Thiruvananthapuram district. Trivandrum. Yeah.
I am also working in Yarnakatam.
Okay. So why I said that because
Psychology department.
Huh.
B.Ed college.
Okay. So here I know many of you people are doesn't have the background in psychology as a degree in psychology, so it will be a little difficult, but we can have discussions. And most importantly, I don't know Telugu and I don't know Hindi, so it would be helpful that if you communicate with me in English, so I can understand. So this is all about. So now shall we start the sessions? We'll start the class.
Good morning, sir. Actually, I missed the offline classes. So,
Okay.
do I have any source of getting those content, like as a backup or any YouTube videos? I found, but I searched for, I did not find anything.
As of now, our lectures are not recorded or it is not available in online. The only way that is
Go through the books only, sir.
Ambedkar University is provided with the materials, and there is a WhatsApp group that created by that learning center students. So if you are able to join that, I think many of you have already joined in that MSc-Psychology group. So in that WhatsApp group, in the description link, there is a Google Drive link where I have kept some books, some reading materials for psychology. So those materials are not from your university. That is separate study materials that you have for each subject. In that Google Drive, I have shared some textbooks that we used to study in our masters in the regular universities. So there are some materials for social psychology, and there are some materials for introduction to psychology, that understanding the basics of psychology that we study in bachelor's, and also some extra reading for psychology.
Sir, can you please share it again? Whatever the books you are
It is
referred, you
outside
have
of the group.
referred for
It is,
yourself.
it is tagged in the WhatsApp group description. Because if we are sharing in the chat box, it will be multiple shared. It will be missed. So I have put that in the description. If you go
Thank
to
you very much,
WhatsApp,
sir.
there is a Google Drive link. You can click that link, so you will get a couple of materials. There will be some couple of social psychology books, and from those books only your textbook also developed. So you can rely on those materials. So I would suggest you to read at least one or two social psychology textbooks, because each book will have something extra or something, like some book miss some concepts and some books will have them. So I would suggest you to, along with lecture and your university not like textbook, I would suggest you to read those books also, and don't depend or don't read or don't take any information from Wikipedia, ChatGPT, or Google. Okay, we are learning a discipline, a social science, a scientific discipline. So rely on verified document. One is textbooks, which is published by verified publishers, or you can depend on articles, articles which is published by peer-reviewed journals, that you can get it from Google Scholar, or there are different kind of semantic scholar like that. So don't read and understand subject through Wikipedia or some kind of random Google search or Instagram or Facebook. There are verified information which is kept as a document. We call textbooks. It is available there, and use articles. Okay. So this is another thing. So you can go for YouTube videos from universities or people who have the proper qualification, that bachelor's, master's, and doctorate in psychology, at least master's in psychology, experience as faculties in universities. They are giving free lectures in YouTube also. That also you can look. So something like, but very important is you need to read, because reading is very important, because we need to internalize, we have to understand, we have to understand many technical terms, and there are very great differences between these technical terms also. So maybe what you are understood, maybe there will be some errors or something. So that is why this mentoring is very important. These lectures are very important. So we will explain. So this is
Thank you,
what
sir.
this
Thank
is
you.
what my suggestion for you people. Yes, yes. I actually got a little confused yesterday, because I am expecting those old students, and I got surprised by a lot of new students. So I was also little got confused. Then now I understood there are many new students are there. So for them, try to read and take your extra time, if there is any, to read and understand. And if you have any doubt, let me know in the class. So we will keep another 15 or 30 minutes for the discussion of your inquiries. Is it fine? The first one thing, I won't. If I send my number, then I will be bombarded with a lot of messages. I'm sorry. If you have anything, then I will. We will discuss it here, or we can discuss it in the WhatsApp group, because whenever I gave my number, I have to keep my phone either on switched off or on silent, because it's coming a lot of messages. So I'm sorry. I will definitely, I will give my mail ID here, so you can communicate in my mail. That won't be a problem. Or in the WhatsApp group also. I am also there in that WhatsApp group. So you can ask questions there also. I will try to answer that. So we can discuss there also. Okay. So it's done 12. We'll start now. Okay. So we have discussed self-efficacy yesterday. Now we are going with the self-regulation. Okay. So the self-regulation, it's actually denoting a human's, an individual's ability to organize and monitor their own behavior. Okay, organize an individual's ability to organize and monitor their own behavior. So this is what we call as self-regulation. So this self-regulation have a very important factor called self-monitoring. Okay, so self-regulation is a person's ability to organize and monitor their own behavior, and the self-regulation have a very important aspects called self-monitoring or self-monitoring. So what is self-monitoring actually means? We are encountered with different kind of social context. So we are encountered with a different kind of situation. So each situation demand each kind of responses. We can't behave like same at all contexts. So we have to adapt. We have to what situationally appropriate behavior. We can call situationally appropriate behavior. So we monitor everything and we monitor ourselves, we monitor everything, and according to that monitoring, the feedback, that evaluation process, we situationally adapt to the each context. So self-monitoring is a key process for self-regulation. Okay. So how this self-monitoring work is, when people use this self-monitoring as a social cues, CUES, social cues. So when they interact, when a human interact with a group of people, they observe them, they take their reactions and actions and everything, and they observe themselves, and they create a guideline. They create a guideline for themselves by looking at the cues of social cues, how people are behaving, how people are interacting, how people are talking, their body language, everything we observe, and we will create a kind of cues and then guidelines for us, and then we use that to present ourselves. Okay, so self-monitoring, we can, in psychology, we always have three components. Okay, in psychology, we always have three components. One is affect, 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 which is a emotional component, and then there is ABC, we call it ABC. A is affect, and B is behavioral component, and C is cognitive component. Cognition means higher mental process of thinking, higher mental process. So affect is an emotional component, A. Behavior, that our actions and responses to any stimulus, and then there is C, which is cognitive, which is our executive functioning, our thinking process. So each and every behavior of a human contains these three aspects. Okay, there will be an emotional aspect, then there will be a behavioral aspect, and there will be a cognitive aspect. So when we take self-regulation and self-monitoring, we can say that self-monitoring is a cognitive component because it is a decision-making process. It is it's solving a problem, it's solving a puzzle. It is a person get into a new situation and it is analyzing information, taking some information, deleting some information, avoiding some information. So that happens inside the mind, inside the brain. That it's a kind of mathematical calculation. So that we call it cognitive component. So self-monitoring is a kind of filtration, a kind of monitoring process, which we call cognitive component. And impression management that we have discussed earlier in the offline classes. So impression management is a behavioral component of the self-monitoring. So self-monitoring is a cognitive component and impression management is the behavioral component. So we can say that through the self-monitoring process, whatever the information we get, we create a guideline for ourselves. And using those guidelines, we present ourselves. So impression formation or impression management is creating an impression of ourselves on other people. So we don't want to create a negative image of ourselves. No one wants to create a negative image of oneself. So they clearly look at what is happening around them, what is happening within them, and then they will see a kind of guideline, and then they will enact, they will express. So self-monitoring is a cognitive component, and impression management is the manifestation of self-monitoring. That we can put it in that way. That so self-monitoring self-monitoring is manifested through impression management. Okay, I hope you are understanding. And this is online class. I am unable to see anyone's name, anyone's face, so I don't know. We are looking at. I think my PDF have a different page number. It is 78 for me. I think it will be 79 or 80 or 81 for you. We are taking self-regulation 9.5.4. So a person who have a well-developed impression management skill have a very solid and powerful self-monitoring process. So that person will always look at oneself and outside, and they monitor and everything, and they put effort and they adapt themselves on each situation. Okay, so we can say that such people have a good quality of self-presentation. In social psychology, we call self-presentation, presenting oneself. So a person who is presenting oneself in such an impressive way, that means that person is having a good self-monitoring process, and that person was able to manifest that self-monitoring process as an impression formation for them. But on the other side, there is another kind of people people who are less having self-regulation, low self-regulation, which is they lack the skill or ability to. It is not like they don't have. We say they lack. They have, but they lack the skill of self-regulation, which leads to the lack of self-monitoring. So they won't be able to create their own guideline for themselves. So what happens is they will be unstable. So each situation they behave in a completely different way. Even same situation, different context. Same situation they are encountering, but different places, but they will behave different way. But some people, same context, different places, but they behave in a similar way. So we can say that a person who adjusts and adapt well in a social situation, we can say that that person is having a good like a good self-monitoring skill. That the person having a self-regulation, that person have a good self-control, and this person is having a good monitoring skills. And people at the same time, people who are unstable in different situations, we say that am I not audible to? I think, am I audible? Someone said I am not audible.
Yes, sir, audible.
Yes, sir. So
Yes, sir, audible, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So we say that high self-regulating people are situationally explain the regulation. So self-regulation is a person's ability to organize and monitor their own behavior. So in self-regulation means that self-regulation means ability to organize and monitor one's own behavior. And self-monitoring is part of self-regulation. Okay. So if a person is capable of doing self-monitoring, that introspecting one's own behavior and accumulating behavior from outside and making changes on their own behavior according to the situations. So what we are talking here about in a social context. Okay, always think that we are discussing social psychology, so there should be always a social context. Social place an individual in a group of people, a social context, always. But a person who is having low self-monitoring, we can say that they behave according to their disposition. Disposition means whatever is there inside them, or whatever they know how to deal. So they will be unstable. They don't know how to adapt to different kind of situation properly. But the people who have high self-monitoring skills, they monitor their situation, their environment, and their own behavior, and then they will adapt to each situation. Okay, so in many situations, so why we do the self-monitoring? Because if we are not having the proper self-monitoring process, that impression management or the way we present ourselves in social situations will be ambiguous. We don't know how, we won't be able to behave properly. So that will lead to if a person is not having a good self-monitoring capacity, what happens is they will like when they get into the ambiguous situations, they won't resist if there is anything go wrong. Their willpower will be less. They don't know the resources to deal with the situations because they lack a lot of things. So what happens is a person's self-concept that we have discussed earlier. A person's self-concept is created through our own idea of ourselves, and also the responses from other people, the people outside. So we look at how they are perceiving us and how they are making meaning of us, and that is also part of our self-concept. The significant people's idea of ourselves is also encapsulated with our self-concept. So and another important thing is the self-regulation or self-monitoring is the key process which produce something called willpower or self-control, something like that. Willpower, self-control, a lot of things. So if something happens which is unhealthy or which is not good for the society and the community, the person should have that resistance. They will be having a kind of resistance, and they should not be fall for those pressures. So for that, they need a kind of willpower. So again, this willpower is also coming with the interdependence of people, each other, that we will look into later. So self-regulation means once a person's ability to organize and monitor their own behavior, and in that process, self-monitoring is very important because self-monitoring helps to make a guideline for ourselves to present ourselves in a different context. And through the self-monitoring process, the information that we collect through self-monitoring process, we express ourselves, and that's what we call impression management or impression formation. Okay, and after self-regulation, we are going for culture. How culture is having impact on people's self. Okay, so in psychology, especially in social psychology, we say that we have divided our civilization as a Western culture and Eastern culture, that we all know. So Western culture is more Western culture is more of individualistic society or individualistic behavior they have. And the Eastern part is more of a collectivistic society or collectivistic behavior. So what is individualistic means the important is more for the individual and individual autonomy, individual authority, individual liberty, and there will be a clear distinction between oneself and other, everything. Okay, so that is part of a Western society. The people in the West are more of individualistic. Their society and their behavior and their culture are more of individualistic. But at the same time, in the Eastern, like Asian countries, like India or other countries, we are having a collectivistic mind or collectivistic society because we give the collective society give more importance to collective group than the individual. We can see that in our day-to-day life behavior also. We are very scared of what our neighbor or our friends may think of us rather than what we want or what we have to do. So that is all. That is also a part of that collectivistic thinking. So our Eastern society is more of having a collectivist behavior. But at the same time, current researchers are showing now because of the mass media and the globalization and everything, we can't completely say that the Western is individualistic and Eastern is purely collectivistic. Now it have been a more of mingled up and those behaviors are existing in most of the parts. So that is about the culture. And last one, the last thing is gender role identity. Okay, gender role identity. So in gender role identity, that we have to understand that gender is a social construct. Okay, there is two things called sex and gender. So sex is a biological thing, and gender is a social construct. It can change over a time. Okay, so when an infant is born, we primarily identify their gender based on their genital organ. Okay, so it can be a male or it can be a female. Mostly in the cases, or in some rare conditions, there can be intersex, which a person may have both genital organs. So, but mostly we see as male and female, boy and girl. So, when they are growing, their developmental stages, they get to know what they are and who they are. In the initial stages, they won't be able to differentiate their gender and everything. But slowly, when they grow up, they understand that there is something called girl and boy. That will be the primary distinctions. And again, when they reach their puberty, they will be having a strong emotions and other psychological processes that happens to signify their gender differences. So when they reach the puberty, then only we can confirm. It's not about confirming. They may identify themselves as some other gender, or they may say that they are having a different sexual orientation. So as like in the early stages, they identify themselves something, but in the growing process, it will change. So what here actually gender role is saying that gender role identity, we actually condition children based on gender norms that create gender role. So what like boys are like this and girls are like this. Okay. Boys should play with the guns and blah 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 things, and girls should play with the toys, kitchen things. So we are actually conforming. We are actually kind of conditioning children to be in a particular gender. So what we usually say is, don't condition them to the gender roles initially. Let them play, but how we treat them, how we respond to them, that different kind of gender norms, we can say, okay, if a boy is crying, we say, no, 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 boys don't cry. We give a unwritten social cultural norm. No, don't, the boy should not cry. That will become a kind of gender role. Okay, that I'm a boy, I'm a man, I don't cry. It will become, it will harm their mental health. And also, in many cultures, we can say that in many homes, uh, girls are saying that once you grown up, you will be married off to some other places. You belong to some other places. So these kind of things will create a kind of image on them, and they will become submissive. They will become loyal without questioning to anything. So these kind of unwritten social gender norms, so that we create a kind of specific gender all on them. And when they encounter different things later on their life, they will be having a confusion and dilemma. That will lead to gender or confusion. Who am I? What am I? What am I? Am I to, they will limit themselves maybe, or they will overreact. So such things can happen. So gender role identity is something we should be very careful with. When we are dealing with children, unnecessary or unhealthy or dysfunctional gender norms should not be implied on them, which will create a wrong gender role identity, which will be difficult to rectify later. So this is all done with the concept of self. Clear? Clear for everyone?
Yes.
Okay. So now we will looking into social influence. Shall we go for social influence? It's unit 10. Okay, unit 10, social influence. So humans, again humans, we call them Homo sapiens. Okay. Homo sapien, wise men, and also we are part of animal kingdom and what we call a social animal. That is the only thing that makes us different. We are social animal. So because we are social animal, we have to be socialized. There should be socialization process and there should be other humans. So there are other humans and there is society and there is socialization process. So there is a high chance of us being influenced by other people. Okay. Without our conscious or unconscious or non-conscious effort, uh, visible or visibly, people can influence us. Okay. So that is what we are looking here, social influence. How a group or a society influences a person or a person influences society, or how a person is influenced by society, what are different ways of a person influenced by society, and what are its methods, what are the theories and everything. That is what we are looking here. Okay. So social influence. In social influence, there are different kind of different kind of concepts are there. So first concept that we have to we are discussing is conformity. Okay, CONFORMITY, conformity. So maybe you are very much familiar with this word. Please don't take a dictionary meaning of this word. This is a social psychological term. Okay. So don't give a common sense interpretation or definition or dictionary definition or meaning. Conformity, here we are discussing conformity as a social psychological concept, a phenomena. Okay. So conformity is a universal phenomenon. It happens everywhere in the world, all over the world. So how it happens is, conformity happens when a person's do something because of some pressure, but inside or when they are alone, they won't behave like that. Am I clear? So conformity means a person, an individual performing or changing adapting their thought process or their emotions or their behavior, but actually they are not interested or they don't want it, or they don't know what else to do, or they get confused, or when they are alone they won't do it, but because of the group, because of the group, they conform against their will or against their idea or against their ideology, concepts, or whatever they can call. So that is conformity. It is not that something a person is doing. If a person is doing something by themselves, we call it compliance. Okay. So compliance, there is conformity. Once that person that they are pushed to accept, but they don't agree with it. But another one is compliance is again we that we adhere to their request. Okay. So there is conformity and then there is compliance. So compliance is like when someone requests us something, we do it for the sake of doing it. But there are things that we comply in public, but in private we don't do that. Okay. So, but the thing that we are in compliance with both public and private, that is something that create or leads to the process called internalization. Okay. So compliance is a request made by someone and we are adhering to it even though we are not interested. So a lot of, but there are things again in conformity also, there are things that we don't agree, but because everyone is doing so, we are also doing. That's it. So an example for conformity is what will people think? Everyone is doing like that. If I don't do like that, what will people think? Or I will get isolated. That kind of fear makes people do conform. Okay. But on the other hand, compliance is kind of a request. People give a kind of request and we adhere, we do it. So in both cases, and there is one more thing. So in both cases, in compliance and conformity, both in conformity and compliance, there are things that we do publicly, we don't agree privately. Okay, there will be a contradiction. But in both in conformity and compliance, there are things that we agree both publicly, whatever we are doing publicly, we agree with ourselves that, yeah, privately also we agree with that. So then there started internalization process. Okay. So that internalization process is, which is helps to develop morals and socialization process. Okay. So publicly and privately, a person is internalizing the request or the pressure from the society. Then happens the internalization process, which helps to create social morals and cultural morals and socialization and culturalization process. Okay. And most importantly, humans are, no, compliance is not by freedom. Compliance, there is not by freedom, because we are influenced by a person's request and we know we don't want to do it, but because of that request, we are pressured to do it. That is why we call it influence. It is not by our own decision. We are going against our decision because of someone else's influence. Either it can be a conforming way or it can be a compliance way. And then there is another process called obedience also, but that mostly comes from an authority. So humans, we humans are actually not completely independent. We can't live independently completely, and we are not completely dependent people also. We are actually living in between where that we call interdependence. So interdependence is the key success for the Homo sapiens actually. If you check the evolution of Homo sapiens, how they become so strong and big species, they know how to live, they know how to coexist with each other. The interdependency, and that coexisting, that interdependency is the key feature of socialization process. So in that interdependence also, two kinds of process happens. One is cooperation and another one is competence or competition. So cooperation is both are healthy, and sometimes competition can also lead to unhealthy consequences when it goes in a wrong way. So cooperation and competition exist as part of our interdependence existence. Okay. So now we look actually detailedly into social influence, which is conformity, compliance, that we already discussed. So conformity, that you know that we are pressured to do things. We will look detail into conformity. Okay. So in one second. I have to tell something that there are some errors in your actual book of universities. Material have some typing errors and grammatical errors, which may make you little confused when they are reading. That is why I have given that other books in the Google Drive. Yeah. So in conformity, there is compliance, and then there is acceptance. When we specifically take conformity, we can take two kinds of conformity. One is compliance and another one is acceptance, and one more thing which is obedience. Okay. So compliance happens when someone requests us. No, there is. I'm using your textbooks only. Okay, I'm not using any other books. That's why I'm not using any PPT. Okay. So to identify the conformity, there is two famous experiments that happens, which is Sheriff's study of norms formation, and another one is Ash study of group presence. Okay, these two groundbreaking experiments done by two social psychologists made help us understanding how the conformity actually works, how the social influence works, how compliance, acceptance, obedience, all those things work. So in the Sharif's study of norms formation is done by Muzaffar Sharif. He is a very famous, very important figure in social psychology and in psychology. He have conducted a lot of experiments, a lot of amazing experience, which gave a lot of insights into social behavior of humans. So what he did, Sharif's study of norms, what he did is, listen carefully, because when you are reading this textbook, you may get confused. So what he did is he took a person into a room. Okay. So there are a lot of people. It's a group experiment. So there will be a lot of people. And the first day there is a one person, and he invited that person into completely dark room, and he used a light which is moving backward. Okay, which is moving backward. So you have to say till at what point it got disappeared. Okay. So there are multiple trials are happening. So each trial that experimenter is moving the light backwards, and at one point it will get disappear. So they made a quite a repetition. So they came up with 8 inches or 6 inches, somewhere that in that distance the light may get disappear or something like that. So in the other day, there are other participants he invited, but those participants are confederate or part of his experiment group. So what happened is, along with the first participant, there was other participants also. When they showed the image, the other participants were saying different kind of time. Someone saying this is 1 inch, someone saying 6 inch, someone was saying 10 inch. So the first person's idea of the length of the light got confused. But after 5 or 6, 7, 8 people, they came up with the estimate distance of that. So actually, the light was not moving. It was a optical illusion that known as autokinetic phenomenon. We call it autokinetic phenomenon. And the light was not moving. Light was nothing. That nothing was happening there. It is just a illusion of light that is on. But this group of people agreed that this will disappear at some point, and that distance become a norm. And even after many years, when they did the same experiment, they are saying that the same distance, even though it was not existing, because in the group they have come up with a norm that this is the average thing, and they all agreed also. So even though if it goes wrong, they won't change their decision, because that norm was placed first. So that much power a norm have to influence a person's response, a person's thought, free will. Okay, whatever we call. And at the same time, another psychologist, they have done another experiment, which is like how suggestibility is working. Like a person was introduced to again the same kind of experiment, and light was changing, but they were already put a number there. Some norm was already established, and there were some people were agreeing to that number which is already existing there. So the participant were also conformed, they were also pressured to accept that this is the standard. He didn't introspect, or he didn't measure, or he didn't do anything. He believed that okay, this is the standard. So through the communication, through the verbal persuasion, we create something called suggestibility. That is what happens in hypnosis also. We suggest things to people which is not existing or which is not right. But if a group of people is saying the same thing again and again, then that will become a, and the people who are newly introduced to that, they, without any kind of introspection or any kind of scrutiny, they will accept and they will go forward, which we call suggestibility. They are suggestible by the social norm. So this was one experiment that Muzaffar Sharif have done, that a person gets influenced. And another study was Ash study of group pressure. Because this study was very, very, very famous and very much important also. So how the study happened is he showed a kind of three straight lines for a group of people. So there were 6 people, and 5 of them are confederate or participant who is part of the study. The researcher know them and he recruited them. So 5 of them were the recruitment of the experiment. So they are part of the experiment. And only one person is the original participant of that study. So they were kept in the 6, the 6 people are there. So total 7 people are there. 7 people are there, and only one person is the original participant, and all the 6 people are the confederate. Confederate means participant who is part of the study, and he is there to receive the original participant. Okay. So they were showing these lines, and they were asked like which line is standard or which line is in a standard length. So among the 7 people, all the 6 people said this particular line is standard, even though the original participant know that it is not the line, some other line is the correct line. He is not able to say that because everyone else is saying the same thing. So if I say the difference in I will be isolated. You can see the same experiment as in children. For example, if you keep 10 children together, and among the 10 children, all the 9 children is saying 1 plus 1 is 3. Even the 10th child know that 1 plus 1 is 2. But all the 9 people, all the 9 friends, all the 9 students say that 1 plus 1 is 3. Even the person know 1 plus 1 is 2, he won't be say 1 plus 1 is 2. He will also say no, 1 plus 1 is 3. Because if I say 1 plus 1 is 2, all the 9 people said 1 plus 1 is 3, then I will be kept alone. I will be isolated. I will be departed from the group, which make me isolated, a social isolation, a kind of thing will be alone. So humans don't want to be alone. Humans don't want to be alone because staying together gives them strength. So to be part of the group, to be not get isolated from the group, we conform. Okay. Even we know it is not right, it is not a good thing, but we get isolated from the society. So we conform. There is no visible pressure, there is no existing pressure there. It is simply they like 9 people said 1 plus 1 is 3. A person can say 1 plus 1 is 2. The last person can say 1 plus 1 is 2. But if that person is saying 2, that person will stand apart from the group. So that will make the person vulnerable, unstable, emotionally distressed, because no one wants to be alone. So to be together, they will conform. So conformity is a social influence, a kind of social influence that pressure a person to change their existing views, attitudes, ideas, concepts, and ideologies for the favor of a group, or favor of the community, or a favor of a society. So this is what conformity, and this tendency is existing in all Homo sapiens, all humans, regardless of their age, regardless of their country. Okay, so this is the 2 experiments that happened to understand the social conformity. Okay, so what predicts? Are you clear with the conformity? Is everyone clear with conformity?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So that is conformity, and please read more on these experiments that I have shared in that link that you can see. So we are moving to the next session. What predicts conformity? Okay, what predicts? What are the factors that predict conformity? So basically, like we said, that conformity helps us to be together with a group and like it. But there are certain factors that make people conform. Okay, if there is only 2 persons, okay, there is only 2 people, and one person is having different opinion and another person is having different opinion, then there is no need of conformity. They can disagree with it. Okay, that happens. But if there is a 20 people, a group of 20 people, and 18 people are having a same opinion about something, and then by default the other 2 people conformed to accept the social, that accepted norm by the 18 people. Okay, so the group size is very important. The size of the group determine the conformity process. If there is very less number of people, there is a reason, there is a possibility of like they won't conform to, they won't show any kind of compliance or any kind of adherence or nothing like that. Okay, but if the group size is big, the chance of conformity is high. And the second aspects of conformity is unanimity. So there is a cohesion, there is a kind of univocal opinion, kind of conform, the kind of cohesion between the group, that unanimity is there. So that makes a single line of law, a kind of single opinion, that everyone's opinion is single. So that unanimity, that because a group will be having a common purpose, not individual purpose. Every time a group will have an individual purpose, group purpose, but that group purpose is actually shared of their individual purposes also. A group of people, we are all sitting here in this online class because we are all interested in social psychology, or we are all interested in the process of learning psychology. So that makes us that unanimity, and that unanimity will lead to cohesion. Okay, that is the third point, cohesion. So that cohesion will increase the pressure of conformity. How cohesive they are, how much together they are, how much close they are, the power of conformity increases. And status. Status means a person who possesses power, any kind of power. Their presence will increase the chance of conformity. And then the public responses. The public responses is like inside them, they may have a different opinion, like public compliance and private opinion. We say that we say things publicly different, and when we are alone, we say something completely different from whatever we said in the public. So that public responses, that our image of public and everything, because of those such things, we conform to that thing. And if there is no prior commitment, okay, if there is no prior commitment, for example, like I said, like if you are taking 10 students, and although 9 student is saying 1 plus 1 is 3, and so because of that, the 10 students is compelled or pressurized. Even there is no pressure because of the social pressure. Everyone is saying 1 plus 1 is 3. If I say 1 plus 1 is 2, then I may get wrong, or I may get that kind of fear. So that is the invisible social pressure, which start making that that one more person is saying 1 plus 1 is 3. But if the person who knows 1 plus 1 is 2 is asked the first moment, like what is 1 plus 1, and the person who knows 1 plus 1 is 2 is saying 1 plus 1 is 2, and everyone else is saying 1 plus 1 is 3, then it won't affect the person, because that person already made the commitment to oneself that I know 1 plus 1 is 2, and I was asked first, so I said 1 plus 1 is 2. So I made my statement. First, I made my statement. So the other all 9 students are saying 1 plus 1 is 3. So it won't affect me because it is happening after I already decided my statement, and it is happening later. So if something like that is happening, then conformity won't work there. So no prior commitment. So these are the major points that lead to predict conformity. So group size. So what are the factors that predict conformity? One is group size, that will predict the group size of group is increasing, the conformity increase. Unanimity, that univocal opinion, everyone is having same opinion, everyone is going with a similar statement, similar ideologies, that create unanimity, and that unanimity will lead to cohesion, and the higher the cohesion, higher the conformity. And if there is any person who possesses any kind of power, a power of knowledge, a power of democracy, or power of money or anything, so the power of conformity increase, and public responses also will increase the thing, and there should not be prior commitment. If the person made a prior commitment, and then they won't submit to any kind of social influence. A person is standing against fascism, and they express their opinion that they are standing against fascism. So even there will be a hundred of things coming that supporting fascism, this person will stand alone. But the person getting know about in the other way, then maybe that person will also go with the other thing. So no prior commitment is also a major important factor that predict conformity. Clear? Am I clear? Or you have any doubt, any questions?
No, sir, it is clear.
I'm unable to see any of you people's face, so I'm not getting any kind of feedback. That's why I am getting stuck. So some kind of feedback will help me to move forward my classes. Otherwise, I'm only seeing a blank screen. Okay, that is very difficult to teach actually. So we are going for the next topic. Why conform? Why we conform? Okay. So generally, there is two reasons why we conform. There are multiple reasons. There is two major important reasons. One is to be accepted by the group and avoid rejection. Okay. So the first point, why we conform, why we humans conform. The first reason is to accepted by the group and to avoid the rejection. So that is the one major reason. And the second major reason, to obtain important information. Okay. So these are the two major reasons why we conform, according to psychologists. To accepted by the group and to avoid rejection and to get important information. So Dush and Gerard, so two famous total psychologists, they have okay, that is a fair request. It's a very fair request. I am understood. Okay, that is fair. I know it is too much, but remember we only have 8 classes, and this is the second class. So we are remaining with 6 more classes only, and we have to finish all the portion within the 6 classes. And I know this is overwhelming and information overload for you, but so I will stop here. We will look for why conform and everything later, and I will talk to HOD Professor Janardana, and I will ask him whether if I can take some extra classes or something between the working days at night or at some time that you are comfortable. Otherwise, our portions won't move, and it will be very difficult for you also for writing exams and writing assignments. So we have to move fast. So we will see. Okay. So I hope till now whatever I am discussing is. Yes, that's what I said. Things are confusing. So you will need time to wait. You need time to read. So please, whatever we are discussing here, so I am writing up. I am not taking sessions. We will discuss next class. But what I want to tell you is, after the class, please try to read from the book and make some note. Otherwise, in the next class, you will sit with a blank mind. Don't understand anything, you won't be able to recall anything. So I hope till now whatever I was explaining you have understood. Am I right? You clear?
Yes, sir.
So if anyone have any doubt or something, you can ask. We have some more time. It's 12:55. The class is till 15. Sorry, I also don't know Telugu. Is it enough for today? Is it enough for today? I got a message that it is too much.
Sir, you complete 10.3.2, sir. Only 2 influences are there, no? So we can complete that.
10.3.2.
Yes, sir. So normative influences and the information. We can complete that within 10 to 15 minutes.
Okay. So I will finish why confirm. Okay, 10.3.2. I will finish that. It's a very small thing. Anyway, I
Yes.
started that. I will finish that. Okay. So why confirm? There is two important factor. One, we have to avoid rejection and we want to be part of the group. And for second thing is we need information. So there is two kind of influence. They are saying one is normative influence and another one is information influence. Okay. So normative influence is basically we go with the unwritten social cultural rules. Okay, because we want to be part of the group. So normative influence is going around with the crowd. So people, they don't want to get rejected, they don't want to get isolated, or they don't want social isolation. It will lead them to severe emotional distress. So normative influence is very powerful influence. Okay, we all live under normative influence. Normative means norms. So what is norm? Like when we meet someone, we say good morning. There is Indian Constitution is there's not nowhere it is written in the Constitution or in our law that you have to say good morning when you see someone. It is not a written legal rule. It's an unwritten rule, so we practice. We say when we see someone, we smile. When we see someone, we say salute them, like wish them. So these are norms. Okay, these are norms. So there we are living in the middle of a lot of social and cultural norms. And if we don't conform with this normative influences or normative thing, norms, then there will be a very distressing, uncomfortable experiences for the person. So everyone, and mostly our norms, the norms we actually learn and we understand from family, from the parents, and then from the school. That is why education is very, very important, because it's not only about academic learning. It is we learn to become a social animal. So without education, we will be animal. We won't be a social animal. So education is very important, and proper parenting is very important. So through parenting and through proper education, we learn social norms, we learn cultural norms. That's how we become social animals, and that is how we become Homo sapiens and humans, individuals. So, and why we go with the normative influence? Why we conform more with the normative influence? Because we not only want to get the information and the rejection and all those things, but also we love appreciation, we love rewards, reinforcement. So we follow the social norms, we conform with the norms, we will get the reward. We will get the reward from the society, we will get the reward from the community, reward from the group, and we will get maybe promoted, we will get some kind of other things. So that helps also. So there is a good side and there is a bad side. So obviously, we know that the bad side will lead to social problems and good side will lead to happiness and prosperity and everything. So the social norms and cultural norms are very powerful. So normative influence is usually very powerful among human. And then information influence, that is basically when we are not aware of something. We are in a situation that ambiguous. We don't have any information about the situation that we are kept. But there are some other people. So we follow them because we need information to survive. So if we are going for tracking, for example, there is no particular social norm, there is no particular cultural thing. So we are going for a tracking or something, but like I'm going for the first time. And there is a group of 10 or 20 people, and we don't know each other. But the natural, normal salutations and everything will be there. But I will conform to them, I will agree with them, I will be influenced by them because I need their information. So because I am new to the situation and I don't have any information or resources or skills that help me to deal with the situation. So I rely on those people to get the information for me to survive. Okay. So that makes the information influence. So Why conform? Normative influence and information influence. Normative influence is the reason that we behave like a social animal. And the information influence happens when we lack resources, we lack information, we lack skills, we depend on the people among ourselves to understand, to learn the norms, to learn the skills, to learn the resources, to skill ourselves to deal with the situation. So that is the normative influence and information influence. Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. Any questions?
Sir, this normative influence and information influence come under conformity, right, sir?
Sorry?
Normative influence and information influence that come under conformity, right, sir?
Yeah. Conformity. There is social influence. Under social influence, there are different kind of social influences are there. So one kind of social influence is conformity. And now we have discussed about conformity only. And next class, we will talk about compliance. Okay. Then after compliance, we'll go for competition and cooperation. These are different kind of social influence. Okay. So there is some process, some phenomena called the universal phenomena called social influence happens in all the society in the world, all the culture, all the civilization in the world. So there are different kinds of social influence. So one kind of social influence is conformity. So how conformity happens, that we have explained that because of the pressure. But that pressure is not a physical pressure or a kind of authoritarian pressure or something. It's invisible pressure of a group to be aligned with them. If we are not aligned with them, we will be kept apart. So if a person who wants to be stand apart, or I want to be recognized, I want to be notified, I want to stand like a projector, they go away from the norm. So if you see that adolescent people, not adult, children, adolescent, early, middle adolescent people, schools. You can see that they will be very much rebellious towards a lot of things, or they will try new things because they want attention. They want social attention. They want to be recognized. They want to be looked. They need that gaze. They need that gaze of humans. They need the attention. They need the appreciation. Maybe they don't need the appreciation, but that attention itself is an appreciation for them. So for to get that, they will just completely different. That you know that they have very different kind of hairstyle, dressing style. We know that they stand apart. They stand apart. Some people will stand apart. So that also, so non-conforming is some in other way. It gives a more different picture to the person, or it is giving some new information about a person. The person is not conformed. So there is something new in that person. That is why that person is not conformed. That is a new area of inquiry that we will discuss later. Okay. It is also there. Who conforms? And I think from that it will over. Okay. I think who conforms. So I will finish that also. 10.3.3. From with that, the conformity is over. 10.3.
Which one of the four social influences plays a more important role? You said the four social influences. So which one is more powerful in an individual?
You can't say which one is more powerful. It depends on the situation and depends on the person. The person, all the conformity, compliance, obedience, acceptance, competition, cooperation, all these are different forms of social influence. And all these in different kind of influence plays significant role in the human's life, a person's personal life and social life. We won't be able to say that which one is more powerful, but we can say that conformity is more powerful to some extent because non-consciously also we have been practiced conformity in our home. I think the first thing we started is conformity as a humans. So maybe conformity will be more powerful. Maybe, I think so. But again, we can't completely say that this one is more powerful. In different context, for a child, conformity is very important. Compliance is very important. For a student, conformity is important. Compliance is important. Obedience is important. Acceptance is important. Cooperation is important. And competition is also important. We can't deny anything, right? And we can't project anything. This is more important. No, everything, all those things are skills actually. Okay. As a Homo sapiens, as a social animal, being conformed, being non-conformed, being compliant, being non-compliant, being accepting, being non-accepting, being obedient, being non-obedient, being cooperative, non-cooperative, being competitive, being non-competitive. All these are, the person can choose what the person wants to do. And again, it will be determined by the context. If a person is in the police station, obviously there will be all these things. They will conform, they will be accepted, they will do everything. Okay. There will be compliance, there will be obedience, there will be acceptance, and there will be conformity. If they are in a police station or if they are in the front of an authority. But at the same time, if they are with among their friends, they will be having disagreements. They may be not conform with each other. They may not compliance with each other. So there are different factors that give importance to which kind of social influence work more in the situation. That is again the job of the psychologist. If you are getting a kind of project or some kind of problem to solve from an NGO or something, we may this analysis. Okay, the competition will be the best thing to what kind of social influence we can administer here. We can go with conformity, or we can go with compliance, we can go with cooperation, competition, obedience, acceptance. So what we are learning here is what is conformity and how conformity is happening, and what are the psychological reason behind the conformity, and what are the consequences of the conformity, and how can we manipulate, how can we control, what are the factors. So you have learned that group size, unanimity, cohesion, status, public response, no prior commitment. All these things are major predictors of conformity. So if you understood now, okay, if I can increase the group size, the person will conform. Okay. If the if I can create a cohesion and unanimity among the group, then everybody will conform. If I am not allowing anyone to make a prior commitment, again I have an upper hand to make a conformity. So that way we can manipulation here means it doesn't have a negative. Manipulation means we are jumbling the process. So we have the information too. So that is about the conform. Am I clear?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, thank you.
Yes. Any other
సార్
question?
కన్ఫర్మిటీని తెలుగులో ఏమని అంటాం సార్?
I'm sorry, I am not able to
Sir,
understand.
don't know Telugu, sir. Only
I don't know
English.
ఓకే.
Any questions, please ask me in English, or anyone. Obviously, you can ask in Telugu. There is no problem. If someone is able to translate that to me in English, it's fine. Obviously, you can ask question in Telugu. There is no problem asking questions. If someone is
I think conformity means anukarna.
అను అంటారు. కంప్లైంట్స్ ని అనుపాలన
What, sir? What?
కంప్లైంట్స్ ని అనుపాలన.
Conformity means anugunyata.
And again, very important.
That much in the
yeah, I will tell you one more thing. When you are translating the technical word into our regional language, there will be a problem. Okay, because to understand this is fine. There is no problem. But like for conformity, you have said a particular Telugu word for conformity. Don't take that Telugu word meaning as the meaning of conformity. To understand the meaning of conformity, you can take that Telugu word, but always to understand conformity through the definition of this text. Okay. Don't go with the common sense meaning in our language. In Malayalam, conformity, we have Malayalam word. we use that word to make them understand. But always go with the always remember that it's a psychological concept, social psychological process. Conformity is a social psychological process. It's a form of social influence. Okay, clear?
So, sir, if you deep dive into psychology, we can understand that social influence can be influential or influenced.
So like in social psychology, yeah, if you go deep into social psychology, we will be able to understand how a person behaves, think, and act in a social situation.
Yes, we do understand that. My question is, socially, at a larger mass, we can surely manipulate their.
No. Mass is a different group. Okay, when we call mass, in psychology, mass have a different meaning. Crowd and mass is two different.
For example, we have a method of surveying. So we interact with a number of people, right? So by means of we do have a technique to influence them. You mean to say?
No, that is not like there is a purpose. Like if you are going for a survey is the purpose now. Collecting information is the purpose. So
and publishing it.
Again, publishing is you are disseminating the knowledge. You are sharing the knowledge. Influence only comes when there is a need of changing something. Okay, social influence comes with if we need to change something, we need to adapt something, we need to implement something. So, or if there is any disagreement is happening, a different opinion is happening, some kind of competition is happening, all those times the importance of conformity comes. Okay.
This it's all interlinked, you mean to say?
Sorry?
So it's clearly suggests that if you manipulate the information and go into a larger interest and publish it, it can surely have an impact on the.
Definitely, no doubt. Definitely, it will influence. Definitely, it will influence. It will create conformity. It will, because it's an information. Obviously, information always create ideas into people's mind, and that will make conformity. Obviously, yeah, you're right. Any other questions? If there is no more questions, then we can wind up now today. So please read whatever we have discussed today, which is social influence. You can refer to the textbook that I have put that in the Google Drive link in the WhatsApp group. Please go to those books also and your university textbooks. Please read. Please make note if it is possible. And if you have any doubt, please put it in the WhatsApp group, and I will answer in the next class, or I will give explanation in the class, something, or if it is possible, we can have an online session in between the weekdays, any of these weekdays, after evening, anytime that you are, anytime you people are comfortable. So we will have discussions for questions if it is needed. If you guys need it.
Can we conduct exams, sir?
Sorry, exams. Another thing regarding, like I said, I am a PhD scholar from University of Hyderabad. So I am not associated with the Ambedkar University technically. Okay. So I won't get any kind of information related with your assignments, your attendance, or your exam questions, evaluations, nothing. Okay, because I am also a student from another university. Just I am teaching social psychology in Ambedkar University. So if you ask any information regarding the assignment or exam,
okay.
I don't have anything with me. I will suggest you to.
Sir, is that okay to take content from our PRU textbooks to write assignment? Is that okay, sir?
Oh, obviously, you should follow your university textbook only, because that is what necessary for you to write the exam and to write the assignment. But if you want to understand more and more, you can refer more books. Okay.
University material is very useful.
University material is the fundamental and most important materials for you to write the assignments and to write the
Okay, Beta.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay. So then next class, please come after reading complaints and competition cooperation. Competition cooperation is a big fact. So read complaints. So, thank you so much for your patience. We will see you. There was a noise disturbance. So please read and come next class. We'll see you on next class. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Okay, sir. Thank you.